Is that cute?
Rach, what are you doing?
What?
You're supposed to be my guest on WaterCooler Wednesday today.
And here we are.
Hey, everybody. It's a very special family edition of WaterCooler Wednesday, so let's get to it.
Okay, where are you going? It's the family edition. Okay. Here we go.
All right. So, I am here with a very special guest today, and I say that every time, and I'm serious every time, but this is a super special guest, and let me just say guests in my life, and that is Rachel, Shar, and the 4 out of 5 of our children who are not too cool for school and decided that they wanted to be on here too. The 14-year-old is a little, it's not cool being on your dad's thing. So anyway, without further ado, I want to introduce Rachel. Rachel Shar is often referred to as Wonder Woman, as a first grade teacher, school program director, synagogue youth director, and summer camp program director. Did I get all of them, Rach?
I think so. I was a little distracted, but yes.
She's also my wife, the mother of our 5 children, ranging in age from 2 years old to 14 years old, and the reluctant caretaker of our 140-pound Bernese mountain dog. Today, Rachel agreed to join us for a special holiday edition of WaterCooler Wednesday and give us a peek at what life is like in our chaotic household and discuss how we juggle the many hats that we wear and how we manage inevitable role conflict. So, Rachel, Yishai, Lily, Addie, Rena, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
So, you guys know enough about this, so you know that we always start with the 6 and 60, right? So that means 6 questions, rapid fire. You only have 1 minute to answer. And because there's 6 of you, even though only 5 of you showed up, I've got a question for each of you. Are you ready?
Yes. Think so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we go. All right, Rachel, what's one thing that you would like to see stick around after this pandemic?
Family time. Spending time together.
Yishai, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Rena, if you had to describe mommy in one word, what would it be?
That's me. If there's a word for helping with everybody and doing things for everyone, that's it.
This girl knows how to earn her allowance. Lily, why does a cheetah have tears?
Tear marks.
Tear marks.
Can see without the sun in their eyes.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. Addie, how do you survive as the middle child of a big family like this?
I don't.
We think you do a pretty good job doing that. And Eitan is not here. All right, guys, 6 and 60. You actually did it. That's amazing. That's amazing. While juggling literally all these guys. Yes. Good job, Yishai. You did great. All of you did great. So now you guys can stick around if you want, whatever, but we got to get into the real questions. And for all of you who are viewing this live, we are not actually live, but I am here viewing this with you, and we'll be in the chat. So any questions, comments, I'd love to see them, and Rachel would also love to see those and be able to reply. And so if you are here live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is, that's great. And if you're watching the replay, that's also great. Thank you so much for watching. But we want to get into these questions. And Rach, I started off by talking about, you being described so often as people say, oh, you're Wonder Woman, you're amazing. And I know that you usually smile and stammer something about like, oh, no, I'm not. But I also know that when we get home, this sometimes can mess with your head, that people say this. And how could they say that? They don't see what's really happening behind the scenes. Could you talk a little bit about that? We talked so much about imposter syndrome. But I think, you experienced it, in real life. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about that.
So, yeah, I guess in all my jobs outside of the home, I like to come across as very composed and in charge, and I get stuff done. And I feel really good about myself for all of those things. And then I come home, and often it's not the way that I want it to be. The house is messy. I'm too tired to make dinner. Lots of homework assignments and projects need to be done, and I don't feel like I have the time to do it. I don't feel like, I a lot of time will give my whole self into all the different jobs and projects I'm doing, and then there's that guilt that I've given so much of myself to the jobs that I do, and I do it because of the family. I do it for my family, and then I don't often have that the time or the energy left over to spend with my family, and they're the whole reason I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about so many different elements of that. One is exactly that. You're pulled in so many different directions, and that role conflict, I think, is something that a lot of people, even normal people with just one job and maybe no kids or one or two kids experience. But it's certainly something that you experience. But I also wanted to understand better something that I ask you in private all the time. So why do you do all of these things? Why all of these jobs?
So
And all of these kids?
well, because all of them actually bring me a lot of joy, and I feel I feel the best about myself when I am doing these grand things that, they make me feel really good. I feel like I've had an impact on my community, had an impact on my family. I work in a school, and I love what I do, and I do extra things in the school, not just in the classroom, which is a huge job in itself, but I take on other things also because it's exciting for me, and it changes things up a little, and it always gives me something new and different to challenge myself. I'm being challenged right now, and so I love doing what I'm doing, and I love being a mom. I love all parts and aspects of what I'm doing. It's just a lot.
Great. So, Addie, what do you think about all of the jobs that mommy has? And specifically when I then go out of town to speak somewhere, how does mommy juggle all of those things? What do you do to help out?
I help with Lily and Yishai.
Yeah.
I'm really good at doing stuff.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that so you can get allowance like Rena?
No, but it's a team effort, right? And that's the beauty of the teenagers. That's the beauty of Addie, that they're able to help out. And Lily, you help out sometimes too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She likes being in charge of Yishai, the baby. And so a lot of people sometimes misunderstand burnout as being work overload. If that's the case, then you'd be burned out 24/7 because you certainly have work overload. Especially since 2020 and the onset of COVID, have you found yourself burned out? And how do you protect against that or recover from that, if so?
Well, I do not currently feel burnt out, but it has come in, ebbs and flows. There have been moments when I said, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. And how do I protect myself against that? I happen to have a husband who's really good at burnout proof culture.
There
and
it
so
is. You were able to walk me through, what was bothering me and how to figure it out and how to get past those challenges, because the truth is I do love what I'm doing, and it does light me on fire. Like the things that I'm doing, I feel really good about. I just had to find the meaning in it again and not get lost in the nitty gritty, the day-to-day things that were pulling me down. So while I would like to take full credit for you recovering from burnout, something else happened around that same time that was kind of significant to me looking in. And that was that you were feeling burned out and lost early in 2020. And just at a time when you think that it would make the most sense for the administrators to sort of pull back and leave you alone and give you space, you took on an additional responsibility at your school. Could you talk about that? How did that Did that play a role in pulling you back in? What did that feel like?
Yeah, I was actually I felt completely done. And then one of the administrators at the school asked if he could pick my brain for some creative ideas for our annual campaign. And I was like, at first I really ignored it because I was that done. Like I wasn't interested in taking on a project or even sitting and having my brain be picked. But then the administrator was persistent and caught me at a moment of weakness when I was getting my coffee, hadn't had it yet, and was like, let's sit down. Let me just pick your brain for a few seconds. And I found myself in the office, not just, in a brainstorming session, but just like ending up planning a lot of the significant parts of this campaign, which got me super excited, super engaged, and before you know it, I was all in. I was the number one campaigner for this school, for the project. I was all in, and it was a complete turnaround from the way I had been feeling a few weeks prior.
Right. It gave you the sense of, if I can translate into what I saw, it sort of gave you this sense of autonomy again, and also the sense of control. So where you may have been feeling helpless and hopeless, having something to get your hands on, kind of, it seemed to reignite your passion by giving you a sense of control on a short term project where you could see the impact really quickly. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Cool. So what would you say to teachers? As we know, education, nurses probably have you beat right now, but educators have always seen really extreme levels of burnout. Um, what would you say to teachers, educators, and maybe even administrators who are struggling with their own burnout or the burnout of their teachers?
Oh wow, that's a really good question.
Percy has something to say about it.
Addie, can you help him get past this, please?
I'll help.
There's the cord. Sorry, this is what chaos looks like.
And this is why we're recorded, but we probably won't cut it out anyway, just because this is what we're trying to
It's real
show.
life.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would. I guess find the meaning that brought you into this profession, whatever you're doing. I don't think that's easy, and I don't think it wasn't easy for me. But it took finding something new and something to get excited over. And maybe there are things like that in everybody's field, that they can find something that will help reignite their spark to what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Lily. How's it going? You have anything to add?
Lily, what do you want to say?
Nothing.
Nothing? Addie, you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
So when we then talk about bringing this home and the many, many responsibilities that we have at home, it's kind of insane. Like, we will clean a room one day and forget 1 day, 1 hour, and about 15 minutes later, Yishai has gotten into the markers and drawn all over himself and everything next to him.
Yep.
How do you
True.
balance that, the work and the home, and how do we balance that together with both of us having things on our plate? Although, with me, admittedly, it's one job. It's not the amount of things that you have. I've got all my.
Oh wait, is this where I'm supposed to say how wonderful you are? You are
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, we practice this.
Yeah. No, in our house we have different people have different jobs and tasks that they can do and that they have the bandwidth to do. So when I come home from a long day after teaching, and then please stop, and then after right now we're in the middle of play practice, which is something that goes with my program directing job. I'm the play director, so we have the whole school day, then we have play practice, then I come home, and I'm really willing to make dinner, and I try my best to make a healthy one. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I don't want to touch a dish, because by the time like that dinner's over, I'm never going to touch a dish. So, sharing the workload of things that I can do and you can do have really made it work for me. So I know I'm very lucky because I've got an equal partner at home, and I have 4 jobs outside the home. You've got teaching and your Illuminate and all the stuff that you're doing, plus working on that PhD. So both of us are very, very busy, and trying to find what works for each of us and what each of us can do and how we can give and take a little bit and help each other out. Because some days I'm feeling really strong and I can help a little more, and some days I need you to pull a little bit more weight than I am because I'm wiped out. So I just think finding a balance and, not making me ever do dishes or laundry, it's really helpful.
Yeah, but it's not always easy, and we do have clashes sometimes. First of all, we're both extremely stubborn people by nature, but we do have clashes sometimes where we feel like the other person isn't putting in the enough effort, or they're not, or one of us doesn't feel appreciated, or things about things being scheduled without ending up on the other person's calendar, and suddenly it just pops up. How do we get past those things from your perspective? And this is your chance, by the way. You always say that I badmouth you in all of my speeches.
You
Rachel
do.
does not like the fact that I talk about her. Most people would love if their spouse talked about them all the time in their speeches, but she thinks she always comes across as the bad guy. That's not true. She doesn't. If you've heard one of my talks, you know that she doesn't. But this is your chance. You be the hero. You tell from your perspective how we get past those things.
I'm definitely not the hero. I'm definitely stubborn, and I can see my perspective much easier than yours. But when two people are on limited amount of sleep and a lot of work, it's just very, very challenging. So there are times when I'm like, okay, I just worked all day and now the kids are up in the middle of the night, and you don't want to get up and help me with that? I've been working all day and you don't want to help. But then, it takes a little bit of coffee and sleep, and usually we can get beyond it because I know that maybe I was up all that night, but you woke up at 4 a.m. to start doing your work, and I got an additional hour or two of sleep. So I don't think that there's anything in the moment that helps me get through it, except knowing that we both have the same end goals, and we want to have a happy family life, and we want to have a work life balance, although that's not what we're supposed to call it, right? It's work life
Integration, right?
integration. And as you can see, we do have it integrated, and that's one way that I get through a lot of my jobs, is that my kids are always with me. I'm working in places that they're going to school, that they're going to camp, things that will directly impact them in a positive way. So I don't think that there's any one thing that helps me get over it, except knowing that at the end of the day, we're on the same team, and together we're stronger than if we're battling each other.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a good point where when stress is building up, it works really well when stress is building up with one of us, because then the other one can be rational. But when we're both feeling the stress, then that's when it can come to a head, and we argue about it, and maybe it takes a day for us to sort of cool down and sort of like see it from the other person's perspectives. It's definitely not perfect. There's a lot of studies on how stress translates from the workplace to the home, and then the spouse or significant other then takes that stress to their workplace, so that it ends up being contagious, not just within coworkers, but I mean, you can see that butterfly effect of stress sometimes. So
Right.
that definitely can happen when we're not careful with it. I think one of the really unique things about us is that we're both passionate about our home life and passionate about what we do at work. We both see our work as a calling, and we both recognize that calling in each other's work. And
Right.
I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I
Addie,
think a lot
yeah,
of people, oh, sorry, a lot of people, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, it's much easier to leave it at the office, leave it at work. But when you are passionate about it, it becomes a part of you. And so I really I don't separate my home self from my work self, because I'm passionate about all these things. And being a great mother makes me great at my job as a teacher. And being a great teacher helps me be a better mother. And there's some days when I'm not great, But there are also days when I feel like at the end of the day, wow, I mommed really well today. And I want to give myself a gold star. And there are other days I'm like, wow, I'm sending my kids to therapy. Like, we're going to make some therapists very, very, very wealthy because I just screwed up again. And so because I'm passionate about everything that I'm doing, we have our highs and our lows.
Yeah, yeah. And for you, when you talk about work-life integration, I mean, really, I joke that the kids, well, I never know where they are and never need to because they follow you to school, they follow you to synagogue, they follow you to camp. Like they're always, you're like the mother goose and your little ducklings that follow you around. All the girls go to the same school as you, and synagogue and camp, all the kids go to. And so there is that piece where it's so integrated that, from an academic perspective, that might make it more likely for you to burn out. There are these studies with clergy where we know that religious people are less likely to burn out unless they're the priest, rabbi, imam, clergy, right? Because then there's no break. Then this thing is their job, their career, and their life, and there's no separation and no time to recharge. Would you say that you get time to recharge? And if not, how do you sort of stay fresh?
I don't think I take time to recharge. I don't think that it's probably not super healthy. And I guess I just get my energy. I feel like I'm recharging when I'm doing the things that I love as part of my work aspects. For example, like as a teacher, I love being in the classroom. I love teaching students and I have fun when I'm there. And most of the time, it doesn't feel like work. The part that feels like work is writing report cards, going to meetings, professional development that is not exciting, but sometimes we have good ones, and I like that. Um, Conferences, parent phone calls, those are all things that, like, those are the things that drain me the most. Those are the things that I'm getting paid for. And being in the classroom is kind of energizing in itself. The same goes with the programming. I love programming. I get my creative juices flowing, and it's just like it just goes, and it's energizing to me. It's not energizing to look at the budget and to try to calculate how much I should charge for an event or how much money I need to make in order to break even. That is not energizing to me. That is taxing. And to have meetings about, well, the board thinks this, or this group of people wants you to do that, and like the politics of being part of different organizations, that is not energizing. That's draining. But because a lot of what I'm doing is what I'm passionate about, what I enjoy, I hope that recharges me. Because just sitting at home and relaxing doesn't happen. And I don't know if that would recharge me. I might be thinking, I think anytime I've tried to recharge, you've gotten me like a gift certificate for a massage or something like that before.
I think we have a stack of those.
I think I have 3. They might expire. I hope they don't expire. One day I'll use them. But when I'm trying to relax in that way, I actually am sitting and thinking about all the things that I should be doing that are not getting done because I'm relaxing. So it doesn't often work for me to just sit and clear my mind.
Yeah. So we recently had plans. I was going to be put up in a very nice hotel for a recent conference, and I said to Rachel, just take the time off of all of your jobs, get on the plane with me, let's go. It'll be vacation for you. I really just have to, shake some hands the first day and give my talk, and that's it. And besides for that, it's going to be a vacation. It was going to be like a long weekend vacation. And the coolest part is that we conned the grandparents into taking care of the kids. And we knew this was going to be a one and done. Like once they took care of 5 grandkids at one time, they would never do it again. But we were gonna take advantage of the situation this one time. And what happened right before the conference?
COVID happened. Yeah. COVID entered our household.
Sorry.
I still love you, but I was really upset. This was the most I was sorry that you were sick, and everybody got sick.
For
I
first and
really
foremost.
felt bad about it, but there was like kind of a rise in cases in our community, and I remember saying like, "This cannot happen. This cannot happen. Shut down everything because I'm getting on a plane to go to Texas in 2 weeks, and I am not getting on that plane. So shut everything down because I need to go on this vacation." I'd been since the summer, since we planned it. I'd really been just pushing myself, saying, "You can do it, Rachel. You can do it because you've got this trip." And then anytime something got stressful or whatever, it was like, "But you're going to this beautiful hotel. You've never gone to a hotel this nice. You're going to this hotel." And, it didn't end up happening because Addie ended up getting sick, and then it just kind of went through all our unvaccinated kids.
And of all of our kids, by the way, let me just put it out there. Addie has always been the strictest with masks, always the most careful. So it was this fluke that she was the one that brought it home to us. Thanks, Addie. It's always the middle child. And I could say that as the middle child. And Rachel's also the middle child. So we have a special place. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah. Why did I say that? No, but you're also the third child. Addie's our third child. And so we have a special place in our heart for her. But as we do for all the kids. But one of the things that you kind of talked about were all those things that you don't like doing, the parts that feel like work. And one thing that I'd love if you could touch on is the support piece. You're really good at delegating. Well, sometimes good at delegating. You're really good at finding the right people to delegate to, and you also find very supportive people in all of your jobs. And could you talk to how that helps out? And then also at home, talk about supportive. Our kids are all supportive, but seriously, our eldest daughter, Rena, 12 years old, has probably changed more diapers in her lifetime than I ever have. She's a constant source of support, both by jumping in and helping, and also just emotional support. The other day, she saw that Rachel was stressed out, and she said to me, "Daddy, we haven't done my bat mitzvah yet because of COVID, et cetera, et cetera. I would really like to take mommy on a trip." I mean, how amazing is that? So can you talk about what support looks like in those different roles and how you think that helps?
Sure. So in the classroom, support looks like I have an amazing assistant that we can, just having someone at work that you can just look at and what the other is thinking to help you get through those moments that are challenging, and administration that's there for you, that is willing to support you through anything that's challenging. I happen to have my direct supervisor, my boss, the principal of our school, happens to be a really good friend of mine also, because there's never been a time when I had a challenge at school and she, gave me an ultimatum, like, this has to get done by X day because that's it. If I've ever been stressed, I've had extra work that I had to do, extra stuff on my plate. It was like, okay, take the time that you need. What can I do to help you? And finding and having that kind of support at school has made my job so enjoyable, and I've really loved working in a place where I feel constantly supported. And I guess in camp and in the synagogue, just having people who are willing to jump in because they believe in what we're doing also. I think when you find people who they see that I'm trying to do great things for the organizations and they want to be a part of that also, and they are, and you can't do it alone. So having those people who are there to jump in and do the ordering, or helping me with those pieces that are really not fun, the things that are like getting on the phone and making a phone call to check out different venues or different people that I want to hire, instead of me having to do that, frees me up to do the things that I'm good at, the actual creative programming. So that's been very, very helpful.
Yeah. So, I think this is a very valuable conversation, because when people look at you and see Superwoman, in a lot of ways, they're absolutely correct. But the same things are happening in your head that happen in other people's heads, where sometimes the one negative thing that happened that day is the thing that sticks out. That it's when you're juggling that many balls in the air, you're going to drop one occasionally, and the sting of that, and being able to pull back and not just focus on that, but turn your focus to all of the things that are going well. That can be a struggle sometimes, and it's not always easy. But we talked recently about like all of the progress we made, and sometimes when you're looking at where your goals are, and you're looking at how far you are from those goals, it gives you a very different perspective than when you look back and see how far you've come. And both of those things can be true, but looking back often gives you a better sense of, wow, we're doing some pretty cool things.
Yeah, we had this text conversation recently where I was complaining, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we missed this appointment for this child. And now that, whatever, it was a lot. I was feeling a lot of mom guilt. And I was like, it's over. We're done. I'm a terrible mom. And you sent back this list. Like I had to scroll and scroll and scroll up of all the things that we had done well as parents this past month or couple months, and all these wins. It's so hard to see the wins sometimes when you're in the middle of feeling like you just dropped the ball.
Yeah, that's another great example of what it's like to juggle so many responsibilities. The fact that conversation happened over text message, and we do try to talk face to face, by the way, but sometimes it ends up on text message. And how many days does Rachel say, all right, I'm waking up with you at 4:30 in the morning. I start my morning routine 4:30 in the morning, and Rachel will be like, I got to get stuff done. So I'm waking up with you at 4:30 in the morning, and she'll beat me downstairs. Like I'm still in the bathroom getting ready, and she'll like beat me downstairs. But she'll be there at 4:35 sitting at her desk. 4:40 we'll hear the baby wake up, and he'll come down. So there's really, we've been trying to use our calendar more to sort of get ourselves, on the same page. We have an appointment that we've pushed back like 5 times for like 2022 planning as a couple for the family, and also as advisors for each other in our careers. And that's been pushed back so many times, but we're gonna make it happen. It's on the calendar right now. I think for later
6 o'clock
today,
tonight,
right? 6 o'clock tonight. And so sometimes those things don't feel as romantic, but they're necessary to get things scheduled out. Also, as a Hanukkah gift, I bought Rachel, but really the household, an Alexa, the Amazon personal assistant, to help, organize with our to-do lists and our calendars and get us all on the same page. So it's always a work in progress, but that's part of the exciting part, that we're not, I think Rachel is much more naturally a perfectionist than me. I hope that I've had some influence on her, teaching her how to be a slacker, or not quite a slacker, but to understand that we are in an imperfect world, and to be forgiving of yourself, and to do the best that you can, and always look for constant improvement toward perfection, but that nothing's ever going to be perfect.
Well, that's the thing that you're great at. You've always been this forward thinker. Like you could think of a goal that was 5 years down the road, but as long as you had that goal on the calendar, you have been able to say, okay, what steps do I need in order to get to that goal? And you've always done it. For me, it's much harder to see that light at the end of the tunnel, and I need to have these small goals along the way in order to feel like I'm making progress, because 5 years down the road is like way too far for me to think. And if I have to wait for 5 years to feel successful, I'm going to quit. So
Right.
I think also knowing what style, what motivates you, and using that has been very helpful, because I can't wait. You have these big goals, and I said it's like getting on the David train. Just get on. This train is going, and he is going to go forward and hit that goal. But I need those little stops along the way.
Yeah, and that's really the beauty of our relationship, is that we do think and process so differently from each other, but we've learned to utilize that, and having those complementary skills and approaches to things. I'm able to talk you back from the edge when you're feeling really stressed out, and you're able to tell me when I'm absolutely crazy, when when my plans get a little too big or I get ahead of my skis. And in so many different ways we balance each other like that. Like Addie, like, when you want candy, you ask daddy, not mommy, right? So, and then what do I say? Ask mommy. The first 4 times she asks, and then by the 5th time I say, okay, just take the candy.
Very persistent.
Yeah, this is the problem with 2 stubborn people marrying and having kids. It is very prominent in our genes, and every one of our kids has gotten it. So it just adds to the beautiful chaos. I turned on that song this morning on the Alexa, but it's one of our, I mean, if this doesn't speak to, the way we have always operated, one of our early songs, Rachel and I, was, what's the name of the song?
Just Another Day in Paradise.
Just Another Day in Paradise.
Bill Vassar.
Yeah, which is a great song that basically talks about how everything's falling apart, everything's in chaos, but there's love, and that's what keeps us going. That we've got each other, and it's like a beautiful mess we're in. Or is that
that's a different song?
That's a beautiful. We could just turn this into a musical and start singing. Do you want to do that? I don't think anybody would want to hear that. So, Rach, any last words for our viewers? Final thoughts? Last word sounds like a threat. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. I guess final thoughts are, I hope you find the time to enjoy the things that you're doing, enjoy the chaos that you live in, because none of us live in a perfect place, but look for those beautiful moments because they're everywhere, and enjoy the people that you are blessed to have in your life. Like, we are so blessed to have, now we have 1 remaining kid, but all 5 of them and our dog who's around here somewhere, they're all blessings in our lives. And I think that when you can take the moments to recognize the blessings in your workplace, in your home, it makes you a happy person, and you can keep on going and keep on igniting the flame for other people.
Love it. Love it. Addie, you have anything to add?
No.
Is anybody else left, or they all dropped off?
They all dropped off. I'm sure Rena would like to add something, but I don't see her.
Well,
Rena, come add something.
That's okay. It's good. The house is remarkably silent right now. And
Yeah.
Rachel, I kicked Rachel out of our shared office because I said it won't work with the microphones right next to it. So she's like in the living room in the middle of our house. So the fact that it was as quiet as it was pretty remarkable. So thank you everybody for keeping the decorum in our house. That's not normally what it sounds like in our house. So thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Addie. Thank you, everybody. And thank you all for viewing today, and for continuing to support me and us throughout 2021. And we're looking forward to an even bigger, better, more beautiful and chaotic 2022. Thank you all. Please leave your comments and questions, etc. And we will continue to monitor the chat. And we'll see you next time. Our next official WaterCooler Wednesday. Next year, we're going to a different format, slightly different. We're going to be having 2 guests a month. So every other Wednesday. And that's going to give us some additional time to reflect, and to share clips and blog posts and things that are attached to each of the water coolers. So we hope that you guys continue to stay in touch and that you have a beautiful holiday season. See you next time.
Bye. Thank you.